teaser. I would not put Baltimore in a teaser. If they were -8, I think I would do it. But 7, you're not getting the full 7. So like mathematically, it's just not that good. I'll say this. I think on the teaser this week, before we get to the final game, let's get the final game first, because I think it's going to be in the teaser. So Vikings at the Bears. The Bears actually open up -2.5, and now the Vikings are favored by 2.5 or 3. So you can get if you want to bet the Bears, you have to lay -120 vig on the +3. So who do you like in this game?
I hate myself for this, but I like the Bears again. I don't want to bet this game, even though I think the Bears are the right side. I just think the Vikings have played very well the last 2 weeks, but you have to look at the teams they're playing, the Lions and the Packers. Those are two of the worst run defenses in the NFL. Like, both of them are bottom 5. I know that they allow the most fantasy points per game to running backs. I don't know their exact rushing stats allowed. They give up a ton of touchdowns to backs. And then the Bears are really, really solid on defense. They just limited Derrick Henry to 68 yards. And I think they're going to be able to do enough to take Dalvin Cook out of this game and make Kirk Cousins have to beat them, or have to do something to beat them. Like, all you have to do is contain and slow down Dalvin Cook. You don't have to completely stop him to be in this game. And I think that I just harp on the fact that the Vikings, they don't have a lot of talent at cornerback. And I know Nick Foles hasn't thrown well downfield yet, but he has talented receivers. And unlike at least 3 different occasions, he's had Darnell Mooney wide open for a touchdown and missed him. One of those has to hit eventually. It's got to happen. If there was a time for it to happen, it would be now. So I'm kind of anticipating this might be a sloppy game. It's going to be close, but I think the Bears could win this one outright. I think this is a field goal game either way. I think the Vikings are getting a little overrated because they had a big win over Detroit, and then, a win over the Packers, who weren't entirely focused, and the Vikings were coming off their bye. So I'm going to be on the Bears here, and if this line stays at +3, I'll probably bet it. I don't have a unit count now, though, because this just seems like something I don't want to bet. The Bears have burned me so many times, except when they played the Bucs this year.
Yeah, I hear you. And what Scott's saying here is right. Like, people will hammer the Vikings. The Vikings are getting a ton of money, and that's not a surprise. I mean, the Vikings are coming off the 2 wins you mentioned, Packers and Lions, and the Bears. They've struggled ever since they started. 5-1. So, the Bears are now 5-4. They were humiliated at Tennessee, although they kept things close against the Saints, and I think people will forget that, even though it was just a couple of weeks ago. Like, they took the Saints to overtime, and they almost won that game. So with that in mind, like, why can't they beat the Vikings at home? Especially considering that Kirk Cousins in Chicago last year was just couldn't do anything. He had just had a terrible game, and he's going to have to do something in this game because Dalvin Cook will be going against one of the better run defenses in the NFL. The Bears just shut down Derrick Henry, so they're going to be able to stop Dalvin Cook, and so Kirk Cousins is going to have to do something against a great defense. He's going to have the pass rushers coming in on him, throwing into a tough secondary. So I think that Cousins could have a meltdown. I could see a couple of interceptions here. And then you get to the Viking defense. I thought they were going to get exposed last week. I should have factored in Kenny Golladay being out, but the Minnesota secondary is just missing a lot of its cornerbacks and both of its edge rushers. So, the strength of the Bears offense is the receiving core with Robinson, Mooney, and Miller. I feel like those guys should be able to get open against the Vikings. And Nick Foles, we've seen him play well at times this year, like against the Buccaneers at home on national TV, and then the Saints at home, I guess sort of on national TV. It was the featured Fox game. So I like the Bears a lot here. I mean, I think we're getting great line value, especially at +3. This line, the advanced line on this game was Bears -1.5. So this moved 4.5 points just based on 1 week's worth of action, where the Vikings beat the crappy Lions and the Bears lost to a decent Titans team. Like, why would the line move 4.5 points? Like, doesn't make any sense. So especially with +3, I love the Bears. They might be my top play of the week, as scary as that sounds.
Yeah, and I wouldn't fault you for making them the top pick of the week. Like you said, that line moved like crazy. I just, I have this thing. I hate the Bears, and every time I pick against them, they cover, and every time I pick with them, they don't, except once. So, But I think this is as good a spot as any, because the Vikings have gone from, oh, maybe they could pull off a couple wins to very overrated very quickly.
Yeah. By the way, I mentioned the teaser here. So my teaser, I would want Chicago to bet, 2.5 up to 8.5 to get 3, 6, and 7. Because those are the key numbers you want. And also I want to pair that with Seattle going from 1.5 to 7.5. So my teaser would be Seahawks plus 7.5, Bears plus 8.5. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a very good teaser. I think that's definitely a good way to do it. I could also see if I was more confident in the Steelers, I could see putting the Steelers at -8 into a teaser, because then basically you're just betting on barely win the game. But I still think the Bengals could win that one. I'm also comfortable with taking like the 49 and teasing them and just making it plus whatever to give you half of a team that's pretty much guaranteed, because I would imagine the 49ers would be able to cover a 6 or 15 or 16 point spread.
You would think so, and then Mullins will throw that pick 6 when he's down 10, and then
very
17.
True. Very true.
All right, let's do our survivor pick. So it's a tough one because the Packers are the obvious pick this week. If you haven't chosen the Packers yet against the Jaguars, that's so obvious. And it's I don't think you have to be too contrarian at this point, because many people may have picked the Packers already. So I think you can get away with that this week if you want to be a little bit contrarian. The Steelers are -7. They're an option. Even though they were picked last week. The Ravens at the Patriots, like, we think the Ravens should be able to win, but I already picked them. I don't know about you. So I don't know what your selections are, but so like I guess, even though I like the 49ers to cover, the only like logical place to go, and like the Dolphins were even in consideration, but I picked them already. The Saints, even though I think it could be a field goal game, I still think Drew Brees at home still should be able to win that one outright. So I don't know what you're thinking, but my top choices this week would be Packers, followed by the Ravens, and then I guess you can get to like the Saints.
Yeah, I agree with those top 2 or 3 choices. I don't know what I've picked because I'm horrible and don't write this down because I always forget to. But I know for a fact I haven't picked the Dolphins yet. And I know that the Chargers are good on offense, but I think that the coaching advantage there for the Dolphins might make me go a little contrarian and take them, because I do think that they just are a more complete team right now. And I think Justin Herbert might have his first taste of struggles against that tough secondary. If they take away Keenan Allen, then he's going to have to throw more touchdowns to Gabe Neighbors, who has unbelievably caught a touchdown in the last 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens there. But I think the Dolphins would be my contrarian pick. But if you have the Packers or the Ravens available, definitely go with them.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, congratulations if you have the Packers. You just advanced to week 11. All right, that's it for this week. Do you have anything to plug?
I actually would like to say a hearty rest in peace to Tommy Heinsohn. The Celtics legend passed away today. I grew up watching Celtics games. I absolutely love the Celtics. They're my favorite professional sports team. When I was little, they would be losing by 10 and I would be throwing fits. And throughout all this, Tommy Heinsohn has been the color commentator my whole life. He will be greatly missed. I had the great pleasure of working for the same company as him for a little while. I don't know if I've ever been more starstruck when he first walked into the room and I saw him in there. So he will be missed in Boston. So just rest in peace to Tommy Heinsohn.
Yeah, absolutely. Rest in peace to him. Rest in peace to Alex Trebek as well.
Yes.
He when I was a little kid and my grandparents would watch me, my parents were at work. I remember watching Jeopardy with my grandpa, and like he would tune into it every night. Like he would love to watch Jeopardy. And like he was an immigrant to this country, so he didn't like fully understand everything, but he liked watching smart people on TV, and it was really cool to watch with him. And then like especially like growing up and like, when I reached like the age of like 9 or 10, I would know a couple of the answers. And like, I remember like him beaming at me, like the first time I answered something before the contestant did. And like, he was just so happy. And like, it was just like great memories of just watching Jeopardy as a kid. And then recently too, like Jeopardy during James Holzhauer's big run. I thought that was excellent as well. So Alex Trebek will be missed. It's a shame. But yeah, it's So rest in peace to both those guys. So anyway, so do you have anything to plug?
You can follow me on Twitter at Jacob Kamenker. I share a lot of my news for sport, my work for Sporting News Fantasy on there. You can also follow at SN_fantasy on Twitter if you want more injury updates, news, and just some DFS lineups. If you want to compare them to Walt, feel free to check that out. If you want to talk football, just follow me on Twitter and tweet at me questions, or if we have a bad week, feel free to insult me there, because that's always fun too.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the most fun. So I'm at waltzerfootball.com. We have our updated 2021 NFL mock draft tomorrow morning, so I'm gonna get to work on it after dinner. So I'm kind of excited to see how that unfolds. Updated picks throughout the week, updated fantasy rankings throughout the week, and as you mentioned, my DraftKings lineup usually posted the night before. So hopefully we cash this one. And by the way, not only did the Justin Herbert drop touchdowns at the end of the game, not only was that a super contest loss for both you and I in all of our entries, I also would have cashed in the high stakes contest if that touchdown would have happened, because Herbert was one of my quarterbacks in the two lineups. So, and I ended up not cashing by 0.8 points. And the 4 points would have gotten me there. So it was very tilting all around. Hopefully we have a better week 10. But once again, it would help a lot if you guys hit the like button, hit subscribe, notification bell, leave a comment, or you share this video. It would mean a lot to us. Like I said, we're closing in on 2,000 subscribers, which is really cool because we started this YouTube channel recently. So anyway, that is it for week 10. Hopefully we have a great week 10, despite our disagreements at the beginning. So anyway, I will talk to you in week 11.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for watching, guys.